Firstly, everyone should be aware that the flat Earth appears in the Illuminati card game, and it's there because it's a massive PSYOP. Truthers play the 9/11 truth card while the Illuminati plays the flat Earth card, effectively dividing those attempting to resist the tyranny. Before continuing, we would just like you to accept the fact that there is a flat Earth card in the Illuminati card deck, and that other explanations for what is being observed are possible. For example, this clip from ODD TV.
Plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
And unlike the previous program, we are setting a course with specific and achievable milestones. Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
Multiple government outlets have leaked this information on purpose because they want you to follow the breadcrumbs back to the outlets that cover this propaganda. In this clip, you heard exactly what they wanted you to hear. And in these other clips, you're seeing exactly what they want you to see. And while it points towards mass deception, what it might suggest is mass deflection. There are no accidents in politics. That's Poli-Sci 101. Other evidence that you'll see on ODD and the like includes video footage from the edge of the atmosphere showing what appears to be a flat world. The truth of the matter is that given the size of the planet, you would have to be much further away from the Earth to see the curvature than these weather experiments can provide. If the Earth is 8,000 miles wide, and if the best independent footage of the Earth is only at about 5 miles away, that means the ratio is 5 divided by 8,000. Or 0.000625. If you apply that ratio to the globe that you're used to seeing in your school, which is about a foot wide, that means your camera would be 0.0075 inches off the surface of the globe, or 0.19 millimeters. That means you would place your camera at that distance and point it at the globe like you're using a microscope, and then wonder to yourself, why does it look flat? Everything looks flat at that perspective. Test it out for yourself. But surely that will not convince the most hardened believers. What about the pictures you've seen that show objects that should be hidden by the curvature of the Earth, like in this image here? Well, we do see curvature in those pictures, just not as much as they say. And so if the curvature is less, that means the Earth is bigger than they say. The first explorers that went to Antarctica after World War II have said as much, that there's a continent the size of America on the other side of Antarctica. And since access has been restricted since the discovery, surely it is plausible to question the size of the Earth. But what about the planes that seem to disappear from Flight Radar 24 as they cross the Pacific or Indian Oceans? Flight Radar 24 isn't getting their data from air traffic control. They receive information from private citizens using transponder kits that plug into their internet, like a radio scanner for planes. And since no one can contribute a private radio scanner in the middle of the Pacific, well, it becomes a blackout zone for websites and a hotbed for conspiracy theories. But wait, there's more. Recently, we were trolled by Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. The guy was begging for a confrontation, so we reached out and politely brought up these cold, hard facts. And unsurprisingly, we were met with a tantrum of profanity. And so we're going to spend a few minutes addressing some of the content they support when it comes to flat Earth and the like.
So you're in an airplane and you're moving. Let's call it you're moving 300 miles an hour before you even start taking off. Through space. You take off and you fly down to the equator and you head to the west. To the west. You head to the east. You're going with the spin of the Earth. Well, the Earth is going 1,000 miles per hour. The plane accelerated 500 miles an hour. So let's add the 200 that you're already moving. Now you're going 700 miles an hour. You've flown to the equator, but the Earth is moving over 1,000 miles an hour. How come you're not going backwards?
I'll tell you this. It makes me feel kind of silly that I ever believed the Earth was round.
That is just the beginning.
The Earth spins once per day, which means that if you live at the equator, the surface of the Earth with you on it is moving around 1,000 miles per hour to the east, relative to the center of the Earth. Even at 45 degrees latitude, the Earth's surface is moving 700 miles per hour to the east, so it kind of seems like it should be faster for airplanes to fly west. I mean, their destination is literally spinning towards them. At the same time, however, they are spinning away from their destination. When we say the Earth is going 1,000 miles per hour to the east, that means that the ground, and airplanes on the ground, and even the air above the ground are all also moving 1,000 miles per hour to the east. For an airplane to get anywhere, it has to start moving relative to the ground and through the air at something like 100 or so miles per hour. So when it flies east, it's actually moving 1,000 plus 100 miles an hour to the east. And when it flies west, it's actually moving 1,000 minus 100 miles an hour to the east. Yes, to go west, you go east, just slower than the Earth is going east. Unless you're within 10 or so miles of the poles, in which case a brisk westward walk will take you legitimately west. That said, planes do often take different amounts of time to fly the same route in different directions, because of winds in the upper atmosphere like the jet stream that they either have at their tail or have to fly into. The prevailing direction of these winds is largely caused by the Coriolis effect, which is caused by the fact that different parts of the Earth are moving east at different speeds, which happens because the Earth is round and spinning. So airplane travel times are influenced by the rotation of the Earth, just not in a straightforward way, round and spinning.
So as you can see, speed is relative to the rotation of the Earth. Everything on Earth is traveling at the same relative speed, so it feels and looks like we're stationary. And it's for that reason that we don't feel the dynamics of the rotation of the Earth, because speed and acceleration are constant. So if you think of Earth like traveling in a cruise ship on cruise control, then you can start relating things in a more scientific and accurate way. Deep inside, the rabbit hole doesn't stop there, unfortunately. Not only are there arguments for a flat Earth riddled with inaccuracies, they recently slopped together this video on one of Hillary's latest appearances, claiming that she wasn't even there, that it was CGI. The only evidence in their report claims that you couldn't see Hillary on the cell phones recording her. It got 30,000 views and most people liked it. Most people liked it, ladies and gentlemen. When we went back to the source of the footage, it shows us plain as day that you can see Hillary on the cell phones. It's obvious as can be, before and after the speech. Deep inside, the rabbit hole peddled it to the public, knowing that it was fiction, and the people ate it up. We'd like to think that Dave over there at Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole means well, and that these problems in his reporting are due to a lack of scientific training. Unfortunately, we suspect that there's a different agenda at play. Take the Santa Claus, for example. Everybody knows what Santa Claus is an anagram for. Everybody knows that Santa is an anagram for Satan. And the purpose of the Santa Claus is to replace what the Christian Christmas holiday is truly about. It attempts to pull children away from the nativity scene while plunging them into the ideology of consumerism and secularism. This is compounded by the fact that it forces children to believe in something that does not exist, therefore training them to not believe the things and messages associated with Christmas. It's a PSYOP of the dark side, and this is exactly what is going on with this flat earth propaganda as well. People are believing in creation because they think the earth is flat. But in just a few short years, when more and more people go up there with their iPhones and live stream in ways that no one can deny, then suddenly millions of people, each and every flat earther, will have their faith crushed like a 2-year-old that discovered Santa does not exist. Flat Earth is the Santa Claus, hidden in disguise. It's a PSYOP straight out of the Illuminati card deck, and that is something you you cannot deny. Now here's where the story gets interesting. In some translations of Genesis chapter 1, we are told about the firmament, and the word firmament is being used to describe both the heavens and the earth, to hold things in place. Now remember, these ideas are being communicated to people 5,000 years ago. Genesis chapter 1 describes intelligent design with engineered evolution to people 5,000 years ago. Interesting and true. In other translations, however, firmament is referred to as the vault, like a vaulted ceiling, and that humans were created in quote-unquote our image. In Genesis chapter 1, the God of Israel is described as the most powerful of his civilization. That is one of the major tenets of the Bible. If we jump forward to more modern times and apply what we know to the flat earth arguments, more scenarios come to mind. In the 1940s, it was widely reported that we shot down 3 interstellar craft and recovered the technology. The Serious Disclosure Project claims to have a white paper from Canadian intelligence in the 1940s stating that anti-gravity technology derived from Roswell was even more important than the development of the hydrogen bomb. It states that top U.S. scientific minds of the times, including Edward Teller, were spending more time on Roswell tech than the H-bomb. The point here, ladies and gentlemen, is what do you think the people that lost their 3 interstellar craft were thinking? You think they didn't notice that their crew and equipment went missing? Of course they noticed. And if you want to know what NASA and everybody else is doing with the trillions of dollars of missing money, they're building underground cities, as stated by Phil Schneider and the like, because they know an invasion is coming. They've dead man fused every city, weaponized cell phone towers. Across the country, they put up who knows how many satellites with who knows what kind of technology, from kinetic weapons to tectonic weapons, and even more in anticipation of an Independence Day-like scenario. 9/11 was staged to increase funding for those types of programs. Trillions went missing the day before 9/11, and trillions have gone missing ever since. Probability would suggest here that this is part of what they're hiding with their flat earth PSYOP. Other evidence suggests that the invasion has begun and there's a silent war taking place right now. This would explain one of the purposes of chemtrails, to powder the sky in a way to detect penetration of the atmosphere by radar. But the scenario might be even more dynamic than that. It could be that we're under occupation by some sort of evil empire, and that some other group of interstellar beings are trying to set us free. This brings us back to the moon and the lunar wave controversy. Our moon is by far the biggest in terms of moons to planet ratios. It's like 1/4 the size of the Earth. It's super huge, and it's a mystery hiding in plain sight. Many have suggested that the moon might be a forward operating base, and most of you by now have heard of the experiments where they hit the moon with a rocket and it rang like a bell. So wake up out there. We're not pushing this issue to piss people off. We're pushing the issue to get people to think beyond the PSYOP. Yes, they're hiding something. Yes, you're on the right track, but it's our best assertion that it isn't a flat earth they're trying to hide. It's something much more nefarious than that. Keep pushing the envelope. Keep pushing the horizon. Something else is going on.
Let me ask you, does anyone else see that in the sky? How the sky has got a perfectly straight line all the way through it? One side is dark blue, and one side is light blue. Is anybody else seeing that? Because it's a perfect.
Richie from Boston just put this out the other day, and each day new images of black chemtrails are being reported. They're certainly not shadows, because this one gets projected up towards the sky. Whatever is going on this planet, it's much worse than we know. We've mentioned previously that chem weather maps appear to show that the planet is being terraformed, that a discrete takeover is taking place before our very eyes. See beyond the controversy. Open your mind. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.